everybody, Bonehead for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. On a Friday, we get together and we have a look at the top 5 something normally to do with Blood Bowl. Now, I put a post out about this one at the beginning of the week, and I was a little bit vague, and I was a little bit vague on purpose, but we'll come to that. But it is going to be the top 5 Stunty teams. Now, everybody loves Stunty teams. They're little, they're mighty, they're fearsome. So, to support me in this video, I brought my own Stunty star player. We have got Libby, the ever waking or never sleeping. Say hi, Libby. Yeah, okay, you just watch your fruit. To help me do this video. So you might hear random slapping and screaming and other fatherly abuse that you have to suffer when you have a child. Good times. Right, top 5 for this one. Got some great comments from a load of people. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to combine your votes from the post along with a couple of kind of key factors. 1, definitely power level. 2 is character of the team. How exciting is that team to play? How much can you get invested in the players? And 3 is just kind of flexibility. Is it exciting to play on the pitch as well as just being exciting to coach those players? So with that in mind, I know there's going to be some people out there that are staunchly supportive of one Stunty team or another, and I'm sorry. This is a moment in time based on your comments, my thoughts, and how Blood Bowl is right now. It's time for Top 5 Stunty. And at number 5, we have got Ogres. Now, I'm hoping that you guys are going to take this as proof that I'm not being massively biased on this one, because I love Ogres. They are such a fun team. We're the Bonehead podcast. Where do you find Bonehead? On an Ogre team. When it comes to Ogres, they are a ton of fun to play. Whether you're running League or Tournament, you get a bunch of Ogres. 6 Ogres. One of them can't throw teammate. They can only kick teammate. Yes, I know. Smash, smash, smash. And that's kind of what the Ogre team does. You've got 4, 5, 6, Strength 5, Mighty Blow, brilliant big guys. Ogres are the most reliable big guy, basically, right? Movement 5 is great. Edge 4+ is not bad. The fact they can throw the little snotlings, no, noblars, is a fantastic thing as well. Ogres are so much fun to run. The noblars are dodgy. They've got dodge step. They can do the annoying things. The Ogres are hard hitting. And because they're reliable, over the course of a couple of seasons in a league, you can save up and get them block. And once they get a block, they are pretty awesome. Ogres really shine if you can get a couple of general skills just knocking about. Which means they're also a lot of fun in tournaments too. Being tier 3, being a Stunty team, you're going to get reasonable skill access. And that's going to mean you can take a couple of block guys. You can take leader. You can take a bit of pro. You can do some stuff. But the reason Ogres are this low on the list, I mean, top 5, still top 5 if there's only 5 Stunty teams, they don't pop. They do what they do. You've got dodgy little runny guys who are very slow and incredibly vulnerable, and you've got slow big guys, and that's it. You can throw teammate. They've got some riotous rookies, but they don't have any of the juicy special skills. This is the most normal of any of the Stunty teams. There's not a lot special here. This is the purest, I think, form of a Stunty team, because it's just like, well, we'll take some of these big guys and these little guys and we put them together. So while they are a ton of fun, they are brilliant to develop and they are quite a cool challenge, there's nothing in there that goes, oh, I can see that. I can see your angle here. Now, don't get me wrong, 6 Strength 5 guys with Mighty Blow is an angle all of itself, but in the way of like just some real pop and shazam, it's missing a little bit of that compared to some of the other Stunty teams. Also, we talked about character. Your Ogres are all very similar, being that there's only one position on this team in the Rump Punter. And the Rump Punter is exactly the same as an Ogre, it just has arguably a worse skill to throw a little guy. You don't get that inherent character that builds up from having 1 of something or 2 of something. So Renegades is the best example of this, and OWA is up there as well. I have got a Dark Elf, a Skaven. That guy is its thing. That guy does this thing. That guy has character based on what it does on the pitch. When it comes to Ogres, you've got 2 stuffs. Tiny stuffs and big stuffs. And because it's expensive, you don't get to lean into the inducement stuff quite so well. I know that your 10 Noblars are going to be free, but that is a grand total of 150k you're saving. So have a chainsaw. And when it comes to star players, you're really going to be leaning on Griff if you want some explosiveness. And Griff is not cheap. And on an ogre team, if you want to take Griff, you kind of have to take 2 less ogres. So it's kind of a Griff team with some ogres rather than an ogre team based on Griff. So ogres are awesome. The models are brilliant. There are some great alternatives out there and they are a ton of fun to run. But despite that, they're still number 5. Coming in at number 4, this is probably going to enrage more people than any other team on this list. It is the Halfling team. Okay, so we talked about ogres. They're a ton of fun. I love halflings, I really do, especially in 7s. Just go back and watch 7 Super Series, the first season, when we had the Chaoslings. So good, you've got the trees and you've got some guys and there's some positionals on here. The reason that halflings are only 4 on this roster is that, to use food analogies, which befits this team massively, the halfling team is basically 2 slices of bread between which you put other stuff. So you have got bread, the team, Griff, Deeproot, Rumbolo, Carla. It is really, whether you're playing tournament or league, a team that is built to be able to take star players. Now, there are going to be some of you out there that do this just to focus on running the halflings. And I think that is brilliant. And that's, I think, why I enjoyed them so much more in 7s than I do in 11s, is because when you play these guys in 7s, there's no stars. But when you play them in 7s, you are playing halflings. You are playing and using the guys that are on this team to play Blood Bowl. In 11s, what you tend to do is use your trees to murder stuff, and your halflings are just kind of there. And that, for me, is a bit of a miss, because there's a ton of character in these models. And the way the team plays out, there's I mean, the flipping guys are called halfling hopefuls. Everything about this team is just hopeful. All the players on this team are just hopeful. But when it comes to having that extra bit of character, I think the halflings are every bit as nameless as the Noblars. You might have a catcher that does something cool or generates, you know, some great stuff. But it's kind of sad. But when it comes to the hefty and the catcher, because of their team value difference, it's often better not to run them, because you save 25k, 25k that goes towards having just another halfling on your roster, because they're going to die very easily, or just more money to put towards that star or those stars that you're going to be building your roster around anyway. So that's why halflings only make it to number 4, despite having arguably the best models in Blood Bowl. When it comes to actual models to paint, all the Stunty teams are really good, but this kit is fantastic. I mean, I've got a couple of them. I've got a halfling team and I've got a chaos halfling team. They're a lot of fun. The idea of halflings is brilliant, but because they're so cheap and so hopeful, you have to lean so heavily on star players that the team becomes more about them than the actual team itself. So halflings, number 4. Sorry, guys. Number 3, it's the new kids on the block. It is the gnome team. So the gnome team is very new, but I think we covered it as well as we possibly could have. Sorry for those vampire fans out. We didn't quite get to do that level of coverage for the vampire team. How do you feel about gnomes? Quite happy? All right, cool. Not a big fan of gnomes. So the gnome team. I'm not going to say that it is a strictly better version of the halfling team. All right, I'm sorry to upset you. Halfling fan. She's got the hair for it. Looks like the little extra from the Lord of the Rings. So, but they are strictly more interesting, because you've got interesting, different positionals that do stuff. The line gnome here is worse than a halfling. Halfling having dodge is better than jump up and wrestle. I'll say better. It's better by a Brexit margin. Whichever one you go with, you are going to want the other skill. And if you want to see halflings versus gnomes, check out one of our Monday Night Blood Bowl games, because we played out halflings versus gnomes and it was close. The guys without dodge really wanted dodge. The guys without wrestle would have been really happy with wrestle. But when it comes to the gnome team, The main guys are more expensive, so you do get less money for team value inducements, so you get less stars, although Rodney Roachbait is kind of a little bit potentially ubiquitous. But this roster has got your line dudes. It's got your it's got your unthrowable combat dudes. The halflings have got the hefties. These guys have got the beastmasters that have an incredible skill in guard. The halflings have got a guy that has a little bit better armor and can't be followed up. It's not enough. Guard, however, makes you interesting. That player on the pitch is mighty. Strength 2, armor 8 plus, and stunty, so not all that mighty, but still, they're going to have this gravitas about them that's going to have that, ooh, that's a positional. Ooh, that's there for a reason. Then you've got the illusionists with the weird little super... trying to bite me. Super sidestep, you know, in the trickster ability where they can just bamf the other side when someone blocks you. That itself is, again, really interesting from a skill point of view. There's a lot of character in that. There's a lot of character in the fact that the Beastmasters have beasts on their bases. I know, right? And the illusionists having that trickster skill gives you, again, another bit of like, oh, that's interesting. The catchers on the halfling team, very, very cool. What they do, there's character. But the TV difference makes them sometimes challenging to buy, but the illusionists, they're just worth the money and they just give you some interesting plays. Oh, you getting tired? And then the biggest difference here is the foxes. The foxes are a legitimate player type that you would want, all right, Libby Smash, on another team. I've said it before, they are tiny ginger gutter runners. They are there. They are going to die. If the fox gets caught, it is Bugle Town because it's just not coming back on the pitch. But it's exciting from a play point of view. When it comes to the things we talked about, you know, does the team have character? Yes, my positionals have character. My players have character. That fox has an identity. That beastmaster has an identity. They're doing unique things. They're going to build up names for themselves. When it comes to play style, the fox is interesting. I have a stretch play opportunity. I can throw stuff with my trees. I can just use Bamf ability and clever guard tactics. The gnomes give you a team that does team stuff, and there's a load of identity and a load of cool play style in there. So they're not just here because they're new. They're here because there's a lot of depth and interesting stuff behind the team. Doesn't quite have the massive fanfare of some of the other teams yet, but that's a big yet. So for me and for Libby, gnomes, number 3. Number 2, it's down to Goblin Town. So goblins, I mean, we're going to go straight into it. Yeah, they are not easy to win with in a tournament setting. They are sneaky powerful in leagues. I think the only game I lost to in my Blackhawks at the last league was Greenskin Phil and Goblins, and I got 2-0'd. I just got wrecked. There was a little bit of star player action, sure, but the Goblins are really good. The Goblin positional, it's got a great stat line, good skills. It's just a really good player. And when it comes to them being as a stunty team, they are fantastic. They get extra points for the fervour of their fan base. Goblins are popular in a way that the other teams aren't. Yes, some people love halflings, but those who love goblins love goblins. Halflings get a boost. They're better because they've got, you know, griff. They can do stuff. They've got star players. They can win. Goblins, they are having a bad time on the win percentage from a tournament point of view. They don't get easy outs. If you are playing goblins, you are doing stunty on hard mode, and I respect you for it massively. And when it comes to the things we talked about, character and flexibility and just interest of the team, yes, I know, if you go with Games Workshop, the team is the most expensive one in Blood Bowl, but you've got everything on this team for everybody. You've got 2 big guys that are challenging. They've got cool vomit ability. They've got mighty blow. They can do stuff. They can throw things. They can hit things. They can regenerate. Trolls are really interesting. If not very good, they are still very interesting. Then you've got goblins. And look, a squad of goblins playing Blood Bowl is still quite a scary thing. Movement 6 with dodge, edge 3++, you know, 3++ for stunty. They're just everywhere. They can go everywhere. Armor 8+ means they're actually reasonably resilient. They don't just die immediately like the other stunty teams. Goblins are surprisingly hardy. And then the best thing about goblins, you've got so many cool positionals. Goblins just have straight up the most exciting and interesting positionals in Blood Bowl. You've got the bomber, the OG air dropping destroying force in Blood Bowl. Then you've got the ball and chain. Then you've got the chainsaw. We like chainsaws. We like chainsaws. And then you've got the Doom Diver, which I'll admit is not as good in this edition as it was the other one. But I mean, come on, it's a goblin with wings. It's genius. You throw it and it flies and scores the touchdown. Best case scenario mentality from top to bottom there, but still very, very cool. And you've got the pogo guy who's leaping over and scoring touchdowns. And you've got the dirty player dude who's running around just causing carnage. Goblins have got it all. And they come with this massive side of being the permanent underdog of Blood Bowl, which makes them so cool. And the good thing about goblins is they do get, whoa, they get very good star player access as well. You can take Hackflem, you can take Skitter, I think, but you get Bomber, who is arguably one of the best, if not the best star player in the game. 50k, and this guy is just the Tom Brady of grenades. And 50k, you can get him in. So not only do you have brilliant identity in all of your players, you can also induce some really interesting, not overpowered, interesting, whoa, star players that just add more goblin to your goblins. So I think goblins, number 2. That brings us to number 1, and it is the Snotling team. So the Snotling team really combines the most interesting aspects, the kind of key things that we've discussed from all the other teams, and puts it into one box. So you've got big guys, you've got 2 trolls and up to 2 pump wagons. So your trolls do your troll things. They hit the tree man roll, they hit the troll roll in the goblin team, and then you get up to 2 more that are just absolute nonsense. The pump wagons, well, horrific to build, are just so much nonsense that it's just fantastic. You probably only want 1 on your team, but you can take up to 2, so you get more of that mighty blow, you get a bit of secret weapon, and you just get a big guy with the most character, I think, in the game. The pump wagon is just it's just loaded with nonsense. It's a little wooden bus, a little wooden death bus driven by a ton of tiny goblins. It is just nonsense. And that's the beginning of the nonsense, because those are your big guys. Then you've got the actual players on the team. You've got 2 bombardiers, 2 tiny bombardiers that are really, really good. Then you've got 2 pogos. You've got 2 of the stilty guys. So you've got 2 leapy guys. You've got 2 faster guys. So the faster guys perform kind of the role of your catchers from the halfling team. The 2 pogo little ball bouncy dudes perform the roles of the pogo guy from the goblin team. And then you've got the individual snotlings themselves with a great stat line, a very sneaky, frustrating stat line. The fact that they are so cheap, they are basically free, and in a tournament, in a league, they are free, means you just get an absolute billion of them. And they have swarming. So you've got this, I've got my big guys, I've got my secret weapons. And with your stilties and your bounders, you've got these scoring threats. All right, they're not gutter runners. They're not as good as the foxes, but you've got 4 of them. So you've got this kind of like just opportunity that you don't necessarily have with the other stunty teams. It's not a good opportunity, but you've got the chance to jump into a cage and take a bad blitz. You've got that chance to run really fast down the sideline, use your stunty, use your dodge to kind of break away and make a quick score. You've got the trolls to throw things. You've got the bombardiers to create holes. You've got the pump wagons to just be flashy nonsense, you know, like a tiny wooden death roller. And the individual snotlings never, ever, ever get named until they do something cool. And that's wicked too, because mixed in with swarming, your team's going to be there with a few extra snotlings at the beginning of the round anyway, potentially. And that in itself is a lot of character. And then you get, on top of that, the fact that because the players are so cheap, because they're strength 1 and have no armor at all, you get the chance to run some of the most powerful star players in the game as well. You don't have to. If you want to go fun, you can run a bunch of different star players. You can take the crazy guys from goblins if you want. You can chuck Creek in there and just go to town. You can also just take Hackflem. You can take Morg, and you can afford him. So the Snotling team just ticks off so many of the boxes that it gets there on power, on flexibility, on theme, on character of players. And also, and this is a thing that I don't think is true of many of the others, this box, there's a billion Snotlings. It comes with your pump wagons. You will need to track down your trolls, so it's obviously not a one box done, but I think the ogre one, you need 2 boxes. The gnome one, you need 1 box. Goblins, don't even think about that. Halflings, you need a box. Stunties are not the cheapest, but the Snotling one, you pick up a box of Snotlings and you're like, I have got loads to play with here. And the individual sculpts, they lend themselves to having more character as well. You've got trumpets, you've got wizard sleeves, you've got all these guys. And I think that's what just peps them to the point. You've got the carnage of goblins, the score ability, and it's just wicked. I absolutely love them, and it was fun to see so many of the comments kind of like, there's a huge, huge passionate following for halflings, for goblins, and for Snotlings, but the most fun and potentially the most powerful team here, it's Snotlings. Oh, okay. I think that means we're done. So goodbye from me and from Libby May, and we'll be back soon with more content. Happy blocking! Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.